My question is, above all your other projects that could have been comic books, what was it about Django that drew you to it the most?
Well, it was kind of the idea, well, one was, it's kind of a two-part idea as far as like why I did the comic book and why I did the adaptation in the first place and why I'm doing this one now. Kind of mentioned it already, but let me make it a little bit more succinct. Was the idea of, in the case of Django, and it was Kill Bill was kind of similar, was a similar thing to that as well. Most people when they write scripts, they write these basically blueprints that are their blueprints that they're going to use to make the movie. In the case of both Django and Kill Bill, I just wrote big effing novels that I proceeded to adapt to a movie every single day on the set. I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. I mean, a little bit old before my time. But it's an invigorating way to work, to say the least.
Django's also your most straight-up heroic film.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. I mean, that was one of the reasons I didn't want to monkey around with any of the structure or anything like that, because you know, that hero's journey was kind of important. If anyone ever actually read the script for Django, because it was out there online and everything, there was that whole big chapter that was Broomhilda's chapter. Well, I wrote that kind of knowing I would never shoot it, because it would break up the Django story. But I just liked it, and I wanted to know what happened. And I actually feel my scripts are meant to be read, and movies are meant to be seen, and they're not necessarily similar. But the thing about it was, so as opposed to Kill Bill, which we did 2 movies, we were kind of able to use pretty much all the material. In the case of Django, that went through that process, and it was great. But then a lot was thrown away. As far as the movie was concerned. So the graphic novel adaptation was a way to literally use everything in the script, and even things that changed, because I took stuff out, and that would change the story. But in the graphic novel, it doesn't, and it's just a full-on thing. I remember, anybody who read that graphic novel, I remember when we got the pages of the axe fight, where he kills all the trackers with the axe. I was like, man, that was a good fight. maybe I should have shot that. Maybe I should have shot that. That was pretty good.
Let me throw a prompt in here. One thing I asked you when we first got together was about a character of Brunhilde.
Yeah.
Because Quentin's so good at writing, very strong, very heroic, very ballsy women, and Brunhilde is basically somebody for Django to rescue.
Yeah.
And you said,
yeah. Well, the thing about it was, I thought the fact that, in fact, some people use that as a criticism against her, that she was just a damsel in distress. And I go, well, she is a damsel in distress, and she's the princess. She's the princess trapped in the tower of the evil kingdom by the evil king. And it's Django's job as the knight to go save her. And
Schultz even tells that story.
Yeah, he even tells the story. And it's the idea that a black woman in that time could have a black man who loves her so much that after he actually extricates himself from a living hell, he will go deeper, deeper, deeper into hell to save his woman. And I thought that was a fairy tale that needs to be told, and men need to hear it, and women need to hear it growing up. But the thing is, why I'm doing this one, though, is like I said, I don't really want to do a whole series of Django movies, but the idea of, like, Django was going to have many, many different adventures. And, like, I couldn't quite let it go enough to do a bunch of paperbacks by having other people do them, but I did like that idea. And this offered me a chance to keep control of the mythology and the story, but actually really tell a different story, a different adventure.
Yep.
So could there be a follow-up team-up miniseries after this, if this is rocking it out?
Well, I have to say, one of the things that we were talking about that I got a big kick out of is one of the things that Dynamite does with these characters that they've been putting under their stable. One of the neat benefits of it is now all these characters in the Dynamite universe all exist in the same universe. And so it just hit me just a few weeks ago. I go, wait a minute, so Django and Tonto actually exist in the same universe?
They could share some stories.
Yeah. So I could be down with a Django Tonto.
That just sounds like an awesome band.
Yeah.
Jam on it.
Yeah, I've been in line this whole time. I think